an amendment to the particular act, but not to use regulations to amend the actual statute. Honorable Speaker, I just want to remind Honorable Chepkonga to ensure that, and I hope you bring a motion for either disapproval or partial approval of those regulations, so that we approve what relates to the open university, what relates to the funding of universities, because again, the regulations, if Honorable Chepkonga has gone through them with the Committee on Education, the regulations are also not in tandem with the new funding model for university education. And therefore, we must ensure that whatever we do, government is speaking in a coherent manner such that we are not talking about a new model of funding public universities, then using regulations, we are amending the statute to do other things, Honorable Speaker. And I just want to remind the Honorable Chepkonga, I know there are people who are very excited that by dint of time, those regulations would stand approved. And I must commend Honorable Chepkonga for extending that time, because there are characters, I am certain, who imagined that this regulation will stand approved by dint of passage of time. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chepkonga, I hope you get those concerns. Right, and now put the question, which is that pursuant to the provision of Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013, relating to extension of period of handling of statutory instruments by the National Assembly, this House resolves to extend the period for consideration of the following statutory instruments by a period of 21 sitting days. 1, the National Cereals and Produce Board National Strategic Reserve Regulations 2023, legal notice number 25 of 2023, with effect from 1st August 2023. 2, the Universities Regulations 2023, legal notice number 56 of 2023, with effect from 17th August 2023. And 3, Access to Information General Regulations 2023, legal notice number 57 of 2023, with effect from 17th August 2023. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honourable members, we'll now go back to order number 7. We've disposed of statements. We now come to questions. The first minister to appear this afternoon is the minister, the cabinet secretary responsible for agriculture and livestock development. Can the minister? Yes, Osoro?
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I seek your indulgence to appreciate the students that have visited Parliament today, and in particular, the students from South Mogrango, Mr. Speaker, and particularly Nyamondo Secondary School. Mr. Speaker, I felt it wise to appreciate them formally in the floor because that is a school that is found within the remote areas of my constituency, and finding their way to Parliament, Mr. Speaker, is quite motivating. And this reminds me that I first visited this house when you were sitting in the benches as a student, as a primary school student, and I sat in the public gallery. So that actually shows that anything is possible. That today, the students that have visited us today from South Mogrango, tomorrow, one of them could be taking their position even on my seat here where I sit. So, Honorable Speaker, that is what I wanted to say and appreciate them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture. Order, member from Horoni. Order. Honorable Koyo, this is not part of Horoni constituency, is it? Thank you. Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock, Honorable Inturi, welcome to Parliament. This is a place you are familiar with. You have been a member of this House. This afternoon you will answer questions listed by members to you. Be concise and precise in answering the questions, the primary questions, and I will be allowing 1 or 2 joyriders to each question. so that they can be able to hold you to account on behalf of the executive as is required under the Constitution. First question is question 101 of 2023 by the member for Suba South, the Honorable Karoli Omondi. Karoli Omondi, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I now have the pleasure to ask question number 101 of 2023. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the measures in place to address the re-emergence of animal diseases that were put under control in the country, such as anthrax, East Coast fever, contagious bovine pleuropneumonia, and trypanosomiasis, and the policy measures to eradicate them? Could the Cabinet Secretary state the policy measures instituted to address the proliferation of unlicensed and unregulated animal medicines in the country? Could the Cabinet Secretary provide details on the plans the government has put in place towards the establishment of trypanosomiasis centers in Suba South and Suba North constituencies to control the Sesefly menace in the said sub-counties? And could the Cabinet Secretary outline the measures that the ministry has put in place towards distributing free livestock drugs and vaccines to farmers whose livestock have been greatly affected by the recurrence of the said diseases? And finally, could the Cabinet Secretary clarify whether the farmers around Roma National Park whose livestock have been affected by seseflies are eligible for compensation by Kenya Wildlife Service? Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Karoli Omondi. Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, if you may allow me, we are happy as a ministry to subject ourselves to the authority of this House, the representatives of the people of Kenya, to answer questions or matters that regard to our ministry. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence, and if you may allow me, ask you to kindly, because there is supplementary information I'm waiting for from my office in regard to these particular questions, that I'm able to do proper justice to it, that I start with any other question, so that by the time we are finishing with the others, I may be able to answer this question being the last question, because I wouldn't want to give my good friend Karoli Omondi an answer that I don't feel is sufficient enough, because I have a very short time to interact with the answer. I seek your guidance, Mr. Speaker.
But not, even if Karoli wasn't your good friend, you have a duty to answer the question. Karoli, you'll have to wait for much later. Next question, 154 of 2023. Member